Have you ever wondered how did Marcus Aurelius manage to be one of the wisest philosophers? How did he manage to not only survive but thrive after losing 7 children, after being a part of a pandemic where 5 million of his people died? How did he manage to turn these obstacles into opportunities? Well, it was because of some simple ideas from Stoic philosophy, and in this video we'll be going over 7 timeless principles from the book Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Let's dive in. Hey friends, welcome back to Thursday Takeaways, a new series where I dissect books into small ideas, principles and routines for you to apply in your daily life. With that said, let's get to the first idea of the book Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, which is how to deal with any problem in the world. So in the book, Marcus Aurelius says that we only need 3 things to get through any situation in the world, which is objective judgment, to see things as they are and not as our emotions color them to be. Unselfish action is to take action on the things that you can control, and will to accept the things that you cannot control. And to explain this, I'll bring you to an example of the days where I was trying to be a professional footballer. So if you know me, like, I have lost more matches than I've ever won, and losing a match is a bad feeling. Like, you come home depressed, you're tired, and it feels like I was not meant to be a footballer, or I'm such a loser or stuff. So to get over this situation, how would I use these 3 steps? So the first thing is objective judgment, is to see things as they are. So if I see things as they are, all I did was I lost a football match. I was not described as a loser. I was not described as a never be a football player. All I did was lose a football match. So the second step would be to take action on the things that I can control. So what can I control? I control how I perform on the pitch. I control how well I sleep before the match. I control how well I'm rested. I control my performance on the pitch. So the third step would be to accept the things that I cannot control. So what's the thing that I cannot control? I cannot control if the coach puts me in the playing 11. I cannot control how the referee responds to different situations. I cannot control how my teammates respond to different situations. So this is what you have to do, right? So if you score less in an important exam, if you don't go into the university that you were planning to go, or if you just go through a very bad situation in life, think about what's really happening here and not how your emotions make you feel. The second step would be to take actions on the things that you can control, and the third step would be to accept the things that you cannot control and to not waste your energy there. So the second idea is to be sorry for the people who hurt you. And Marcus reminds himself to empathize with people who hurt you, who do rude things, who do bad things, because they don't know the difference between good and evil, and we are privileged enough to know the difference between good and evil. And as they say, like, hurt people do hurtful things. So when someone does a bad thing, they really are not in the right conditions or right state of mind. So in our life, like, if we come across people who hurt us, if we come across rude people who do bad things to us, we have to understand that hurt people do hurtful things. And we have to sort of train our minds in a way to empathize with them, to understand that somewhere inside they are hurt themselves, and that is why they are doing such things. And so we can sort of be kind in a new way, where we understand that people are hurting themselves, and that is why they are inflicting those bad actions upon us. And the third idea is, it's good that bad things happen to you. So if you look at Marcus' life, like, he loses his father at a young age. He becomes the emperor and spends most of his time fighting wars and conquering the plague, which killed almost 5 million people. And in that process, he loses his 7 children. And in midst of all this chaos, Marcus reminds himself that it's not unfortunate that this has happened. It is fortunate that this has happened, because you have the ability to endure it. If it would have been someone else, they might not have endured it. And like, you can see how Marcus shifts the perspective. And like, if something bad happens to me, I'm grinding about it, saying, why does this happen to me? Why always me? And by reading this text, it has always inspired me to shift the perspective, to go from the victim mindset and to take this opportunity as a challenge of how this unfortunate situation can make me better. And as Marcus says, what you throw on top of a fire is a fuel for the fire. What stands in the way becomes the way. So the fourth idea is, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. And if you're watching this video, you're somewhere interested in self-development and how we can make ourselves better. But what happens is, like, when you go down the self-development path, you start holding yourself to very high standards. And when you work in a team, not everyone is as motivated as you. This is something that Kobe Bryant had to deal with. So when Kobe Bryant was playing with LA Lakers, he had an obsession with training and improving himself at every moment. But the other players were not as motivated as him. And his coach at that time, Phil Jackson, said to him that, working 24/7, being focused all the time is a contract that you made yourself. You cannot expect other people to deliver on that contract because they have not made the same promise as you. And this is what we want to do, right? So when we are on a self-development process, we want to hold ourselves to high standards, but that does not mean that we expect others to do the same. We have to be tolerant with others and strict with ourselves. So the fifth idea is people are our main occupation. And it's easy to think that, reading books, making time to improve yourself or getting into self-development is sort of getting away from people. And this was the case with Marcus like 2000 years ago. He didn't want to be a king. What he wanted to do was to read books and have discussions on philosophy. But since he was a king, he always reminded himself that people are our main occupation. The world does not care if you're an extrovert or an introvert. Life happens in public and we have to get used to it. I was not very comfortable shooting myself on camera. If you watch my first video, I'm this totally awkward person trying to speak something. And now situations are a bit better. I'm not going to say like I've improved a lot, but I can talk to the camera a bit comfortably now. And so we have to understand that people are our main occupation. We have to develop skills to connect with people. We have to learn how to deal with people. And life happens in public. We have to get used to it. So the sixth idea is the best revenge. And we're always taught that, we have to take revenge, tit for tat, and making the score equal and stuff. And Marcus reminds himself that the best revenge is taking no revenge. Hurt people do hurtful things. So if they do something bad to you, they are anticipating a response from you, and if you don't give them that response, they lose in some sense. So like if someone does bad things to you, don't take a revenge, don't try to get back at them. Instead, understand that they don't know the difference between good and evil, and just because they don't know, they cannot implicate that on yourself, but just because we know what's good and we know what's bad. And the seventh and the last idea is we are dying daily. So in the last books of Meditations, Marcus is almost near his death. He's sick and he's sort of having this conversation with himself where he is fearful of death, and then he reminds himself that if you live 10 years or if you live 3000 years, you cannot lose the life that you are living right now. And we often think that death as something which happens in the future, but in reality death is happening right now. Like I am dying while I'm recording this video, you are dying while you're watching this video. So we need to actively think about our own death, and thinking about death can only be depressive if you miss the point. The idea is to prioritize the important task. As Marcus Aurelius says, you can live life right now, let that determine what you do, say and think. And with that note, I would like to end this video. I have linked the Notion template down in the description, so where you can go and practice this ideas and concepts, you can journal about them, you can meditate on them, and you can also get these videos directly into your inbox by subscribing to the newsletter here. And yeah, that was it. I hope you gained something from this video. I'll see you next time. Until then, stay ambitious, stay curious and stay weird. Bye bye.